I, for a half second there, almost showed you guys the other side of my husband's office, which also has some really cool furniture. Some people have commented on the cool furniture. Cactus from the LA Flower Market, which sadly is super duper run down right now. Believe it or not, it's the worst situation for the homeless in all of LA. Garcetti is totally failing them, but that could be another topic for another day. He's got some cool paintings here. I think from Nicaragua. That says Costa Rica. We have friends that have lived down there. Anyway, the rest of his office is cool, but there's kind of paper spread everywhere in his big old monitor. Not going to show you guys that, so I did the quick camera flip, and now I'm chatting with you. I wanted to actually do a little bit of a follow-up today from my Babysitters Club review that I had originally done that kind of kicked off this YouTube channel that you guys are watching right now. A lot of the comments that I get, beyond the B word, not just bigot, but the other B word, that's the derogatory name for a woman, is how I must be so closed-minded and they feel so sorry for my kids that I don't talk to them about sex and menstruation and real life things, and that I'm going to have to talk to them about it someday or somebody else will. That was kind of the point of my video, and I'm sorry if it didn't come across in a 15-minute mom rant. I do talk to our girls about this. I'm very open about this. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Alicia Krause, and I've had 3 girls born at home. And when you have 3 children born at home, and when the dad is super involved in the birth process, and there's a midwife here that comes for your home visits all the time, turns out your kids are super aware of the reproductive system and that women are humans with cervixes, as CNN would say, and how that process works. I took a hint from my girlfriend Bethany Mandel a long time ago and just took a very scientific approach to where do babies come from, which is something that our almost 7-year-old has asked all the time. It is so apparent how young children are aware of the differences between men and women, which could also be a different topic for another day, because our 3-year-old, I'm just going to call her 3 because she turns 3 tomorrow, has been noticing the difference. I still breastfeed our 1-year-old. She's been noticing the difference between mommy and daddy, and how daddy's a man and how mommy's a woman, and mommy has breasts and daddy has a chest, and like, why does daddy have a chest and why doesn't daddy have boobies? It's so adorable when she asks these questions. And of course, as a parent, you address these things with kids. You don't just shut them down and make them kind of afraid and unwilling to ask a parent those questions. I think when it comes to like sex, drug, alcohol, religion, politics, I often say in my campus speeches and when I do interviews and stuff that my mom always says that in the Bible Belt where I grew up, people didn't talk about sex, religion, or politics. But in our household, we always talked about sex, religion, or politics. And I'm grateful that my parents did that with us. And of course, it was always from a Christian worldview, but they just put it out there and they shared their own testimony and their own experiences to be like, don't make the mistakes that we did. This is what you should do. And so we do that with our girls. There's 4 of them in our house, all under the age of 11. And when they ask questions about what a period is or when they're going to get it, or, when they might get married, or why do boys and girls kiss, and these kinds of things, I don't just like lock it down and shut it down. Turns out I'm not a prude. Once again, I've had 3 children. But I think it's my job to talk to my girls about sex in the appropriate way and not have them having these conversations or seeing a 12-year-old do a menstruation statue on a Netflix show that's geared toward children in order to be triggering that, well, what is menstruation coming from? Like my 6-year-old at the time knew what a period was and knew that you have to have one of those in order to have a baby one day, but she didn't like menstruation. Like what 12-year-old girl is really building a menstruation statue, which could also be another topic for another day. I feel like we do lots of runoff topics here. And I think that this is a problem that I have with many people on the left, or many people who tend to be anti-religious, is that they assume that if I am against a child's television show talking about very large and impactful and I think sometimes dangerous cultural issues, that I must be like shut down, totally buttoned up, super boring, like fugly homeschool mom. I am some of those things. I'm not all of those things. And I think that if people got to know me or did a quick Google search, or I don't know, listened to the 4 years I did morning radio and the 7 years I was on national radio before that as a producer, and read all of my pieces or did a quick Twitter search, you'd see the things that I write about or the perspective that I have. And My husband and I consistently we try to just befriend people. We don't befriend people just because they have an R after their name, or just because they go to the same church as us, or just because they look the same as us. And it's consistently apparent in my DMs and in the attacks that I get. Like, I got called a bitch 5 seconds ago for saying that I don't think that public sector unions and politicians care about your children, and never to listen to them again. I'm never going to listen to a politician again, because when they say they care about my kids, but for no reason at all they're keeping schools closed, like, why would I believe them? So then also, why would I enable those people to teach my daughters about sex education? Why would I allow them to watch a television show that, glorifies transgenderism in a 9-year-old kid? I should be having these conversations with my children about sex, religion, politics, not letting the television and Hollywood with their agenda be the babysitter. And so I just wanted to address that, because consistently it is something that a lot of people accuse me of. It's like, well, you're just, I feel sorry. One of the ones that I got the other day was like, I feel sorry for their daughters that they are with a mother who isn't proud of her, like, womanhood. And I'm like, sorry, y'all got like a good double chin look there, because nobody looks good when they laugh on camera. But I literally laughed out loud while I was nursing my daughter in bed, who's like the third kid I have had at home and breastfed and am raising to be strong, sweet, and smart. That is our daily motto with them. And whose dad empowers me and enables me and supports me to go out and do what I want to do for a living, and to travel the country with a 3-month to almost 1-year-old before COVID hit, giving speeches, and sometimes even bringing her to speeches and talking about the importance of femininity and womanhood. Yeah, I'm totally ashamed of my womanhood, and I'm not talking to my girls about it. Anyway, so I would encourage all of you mamas to have those conversations. We have a 10-and-a-half-year-old in the house, and so if I could have one-on-one conversations with her, it would be slightly different than when I have them with my 7-year-old around. And some of these things are just very trial by fire. Some of these things we can read about and kind of prepare for. And then some of them just like smack you in the face at 7 o'clock in the morning when you really want to be in bed or have a cup of coffee. And they're like, well, why do boys and girls kiss? But you can kind of prepare for those moments. If you want to ask me more details about how I prepared for those moments or how I answered those questions, I am by no means perfect, but I would love to share my perspective as a mama. I will happily, so gladly take and appreciate advice from mamas who have gone before me that share your perspective and your experience, and whether or not you do it from a religious perspective too, because I always try to start with the scientific information of this is how it works. And don't need to do that many hand motions right now, but what daddy has and what mommy has and how it works and how that makes a baby with God. And I always throw God in there, and then I always say that they have to wait till they get married for that, because it's just a thing. And this conversation does come up because they see on television or they see in real life people that aren't adhering to those things, people that are living together and not married. And then they see people, like a family member came and visited with her boyfriend and they slept separately. And they were like, well, why are they doing that? And so then we had a conversation about that too. And I'm sure some feminists will tell me that that's backwards and old fashioned and, a part of the patriarchy or religious patriarchy or something. But that's how I'm choosing to raise our girls. And I hope and pray that one day they come into the faith on their own and they can make those decisions on their own. But I am having those conversations, and I just want to say to all the people that assume that I'm not, or assume that people that are conservative Christians are not fulfilled and satisfied and happy and thriving in our lives, personally, professionally, sexually, religiously, all of the ease, then you obviously haven't met us in real life. And I would just encourage you to get to know us a little bit. I need to go make dinner. It's 6:15 on Pacific time. And please DM me, comment, let me know your thoughts on how you talk to your kids about sex, religion, and politics. And I'll see you next time.